Good morning. This is a course which is the introductory course for all management students, and I think this course is called as human resource management, human resources. In earlier terms, it used to be called as personnel management. But whatever may be, today we would like to since it's an introductory lecture, I would like to provide an overview of the entire course and hope that this will make some meaning to you, because human resource management is one of the most popular course. At the same time, it is considered to be a course which is not really very effective in terms of understanding. I have not seen in my last experience as a teacher, as a practitioner in the human resource management area, that most of the people are very critical about about the human resources. But I have not also seen or experienced any organization which does not have any human resource department or the personal management department. So there is a transition which has taken place all over the years from the traditional labor management issues to the current phenomena or current this coinage of the term called human resources. And this course, this is basically has taken place because labor as a commodity, if it is to be managed, earlier system was essentially to manage them by supervision, by close monitoring, by effective controlling. But over the years, people could realize, especially the management could realize, or the managers could realize, that it is not so easy to manage people and get work done by them. Option is that with a massive technological exploration, I think slowly we will be going through a process in which the technology will drive people and monitor people. But it's very difficult because I think machines are machines, human beings are human beings. So, as a first introduction, I would like to get some expectation in terms of from the human resource course. Since human resource course is sometimes called human resource, sometimes called personal management, sometimes is often governed by lot of stipulation from the organization. An expectation of the management is that it is like it is an all solution maladies for any organizational problem. So the return on human resource management, human resource investments are essentially one of the major concerns for this course. How to get maximum return, at the same time quantify such returns, because the maxims of management, today's management is that what cannot be quantified need not be exercised. So you have to quantify, and therefore there are primary concerns are how to manage human being, how to understand them, what they want, and essentially it comes out of a lot of things. Say suppose you pay more to a human being, he is often non-productive. You pay less to a human being, then they also are non-productive. Now, how to manage? One of the extrinsic way of managing people is that you try to provide them some amount of compensation or some amount of equity in terms of dealing, and therefore human resource management is a very critical issue. One of the Harvard professor, legendary Harvard professor, he wrote a book on punishing people by reward. Say that's probably give us the origin of today's human resource management course. I don't know. It could be one way, whether it's how to utilize, because human beings are very, very sensitive, and I think they have their own cognitive, intellectual framework in terms of managing. Now, therefore, we start with basically understanding what is HRM. The process and systems that include, which often include the subsystem created to carry out the interface with people in the organization. Now, see, it's a very multiple process. Say, I would like to get the analogy from the medical sciences or social sciences. Say, for example, when a doctor treats the patient, so you cannot be very prescriptive, and therefore your clinical acumen will help you in terms to become a successful doctor. Like that, a manager, how to treat people, it's basically a total subsystems. It's a interface between the organization, between the person, between the macro cultural or environmental issues. So, for example, what is possible in China in managing human resource processes may not be possible in a democratic country like India or I would say US. So, there is a singular because the way we are brought, you see, the way we have been taught, the way we have been functioning actually sets a lots of expectation, and that's problem. From there the origin or the beginning of the human resource processes. Now, each subsystem, therefore, it can't be programmed. See, let us understand one thing about human resource. Unlike system programming, human resource systems and processes can't be typically programmed. It has to be modified at every stage of expectation. The way we have been managed by our organizations, say older generations, then subsequent generation, and today if I want to manage the interface, it's again a problem. So, for example, many of my organizations which I am which often comes to me for some interactions, they say that how to manage this generation, current generation. We pay them well, we take care of them, they are effective in terms of delivery, but all of a sudden they say we don't want to work, we want to resign. Now, you understand this one, the priorities have changed. Now, there was a time when human beings used to look for security, but today everybody knows that they are secured. So far, the physical security is concerned. Say, none of us are worried about the food which we will be taking, but we are worried about other priorities which keeps on changing, and essentially there is a value which keeps changing with the age, with the different types of society. And as a result, HRM becomes a very, very disturbing, difficult process. HRM is an integrative perspective to carry out the basic managerial functions with the final objective of attaining to reduce the operational cost. Think about this whole thing, that earlier it used to be, we used to think that the more I control, I am a better manager. So, we have created, say you think about the timekeeping system in an organization, attendance management system in the organizations. Now, even if you keep monitoring them, but finally there is no guarantee that people will come to office and then start working. So, it is an amazing thing to see that people are running for work, and they run and they reach the workplace, punch their card, and as soon as they punch their card, they think their job is over. Now, they start thinking when they will have lunch, and then subsequently when I will get home, back home. But that is not the management of human resources, because essentially punching card is not an organizational job. HRM is also effective management of optimization of transaction cost. Think about business. Business is not interested in anything, and HR is supposed to be online with the business processes. Now, I am not interested in any other thing. At the bottom of the line is that what is the transaction cost, how I can reduce it, how the organizational management could provide the optimization of the transaction cost in terms of managing the organizational system. Now, understand this, and then therefore, it is a very, very complicated issue, and that is where probably we start with the analysis of field forces. I think I will tell you, this field force is a concept which have been borrowed from the physics, and we try to apply it in terms of the HRM analysis. Now, I think what is field force? What exactly compasses and in fact the perception of human resources. Now, if you see how HRM can be differentiated from personnel management, earlier we used to call it personnel management. It is very interesting. The personnel management is managing people by showing and having a fixed system which cannot be changed. When I was recruited by somebody, I was asked to work with somebody, I was asked to be evaluated by somebody, and therefore there is a lot of inconsonance in our time. Say, I was not knowing what for the personal manager exists. They are a remote agency. Then how it is different from employee relations or industrial relations? Human resource management is also integral part. When you are getting a group, naturally there will be group interface, and through the group interface there will be always a concern and evolve certain amount of conflict. And this, how to negotiate that conflict? See, conflict could come in any way. When I feel that I am over rewarded, when I feel I am under rewarded, when I feel that I am not recognized, when I feel that I have been discriminated. You see, now exclusion, inclusion, all issues, and as a result, there is a group of activists which came into the organizations, which started mobilizing the forces, and then therefore the concept of collective bargaining, concept of going to the management and trying to have a grievance redressal, all these things came into existence. Then come a phase in terms of the human resource management when we used to call it human resource development. Now this is a problem. Why the shift from human resource management from the human resource development? Because if you talk about development, it means that you take the onus of developing somebody. Say, I think there is a rapid thing, you think about a classroom situation where all of you are thinking that you will come, your job is to come to class, and my job is to, as a facilitator, to develop you. But who am I? What authority I have so that I can develop you into a different person? You cannot, because the development has to come from within, and therefore we thought it's a more of a management issue rather than development issue. Earlier time, what used to have, if somebody is not able to do function well in the organization, send him for a training. It's almost like this: if you are ill, you are going to consult a doctor. But why you can't have an introspection? Why you are getting your illness? Now, essentially, doctor can give you a prescription. Now, he can't tell you, and he does not have the time and inclination to tell you that how you will not get these recurrent infections. As a result, human resource management is basically a very proactive approach. When people are, it sets the organizational responsibility of making people responsible for managing them. So, for example, there is a massive updatation which is going on in any area you are working. As a result, if you think that once you see, our time people used to tell, our teachers used to introduce, he has completed his studies, finished his studies rather, and now he will work. That means I need not study anymore. Now the thing is different. As soon as you get a job, you have to start reading more, because otherwise you become an obsolete. And this obsolescence is essentially a management of human resource strategy, which resulted in human resource development. But today we talk about human resource management. When you will come forward and tell that I need this skill, I need to update this thing, things are happening. Say for example, it's mind-boggling. Say for example, any systems, anything. Say for example, when I purchased my first car, I have seen myself that I was given a big toolbox. Second car, a smaller toolbox. Third car, still a smaller toolbox. And when I purchased my last car, and I hope that this will be the last in my case, I was given no toolbox. I went there and asked, he said, no sir, this car does not require any tool, you will not be able to manage it. We have given you a very good and excellent first aid box, because you use it, because there is no point in giving you a toolbox. If you have tool will be dangerous, because you will start doing something and we will not be able to help you. This car will not go out of order, and therefore you need not do anything on the road. There is a toll-free number which we have given you. Please call us and we will manage it. Now look at it. Here the whole priorities have changed. I also feel that when I purchased the first set of television set, the ear stick for me, how quickly the complaints will be attended. I don't know, your generation have never seen any complaint in television. So chalta hai, chalta hai. I think there may be, you are getting tired, but no. When I ask my car dealer how far I can go at a stage, He said that it can go so long you don't get tired, you stop, because it has no limit. It can go. Say today's aircraft, long range aircraft, it shuttles like anything. I am wonderful. So, for example, if you think about any models of managing organizations, you think about the low cost airlines management. You see, low cost airlines, they don't serve food because it does not make the aircraft dirty. The moment it reaches the destination, immediately before destination, when they start planning the air crews, they start cleaning the aircraft, and as soon as it reaches, within 10 minutes, again it is board, people start boarding, and it again starts. So, it is again a cycle time. It is again a very interesting way. So, for example, if you have gone to any McDonald outlet, think about it. It is a very interesting way of managing human being. The moment you take purchase a coupon, immediately displayed on the kitchen. So, they make the products and send it to you. What is happening? The transaction time which I am talking about, which we will be again discussing in another paper also in Principles of Management, is reduced, and that probably makes human resource management is totally different. It is not development, it is a management where everybody has to be, because if I send a slip to kitchen that this is the order I got, it takes long time. And McDonald's basic mission is that because people are in hurry, they are in a corner place. So, they do not want to sit unless you really want, and those who want to spend the day there, they have enough places for that. Okay. Now, let us go to the next one. Now, the scenario building of human resource is a management of human responses. It is, what is this? Earlier we used to manage human resources. Now, we manage the responses. The moment I manage the responses, it becomes very imperative, because response is from within, and therefore, it is not a resource, it is a response management. And this is how HRM I would like to discuss with you. HRM is a value based process. First of all, the thing should be that it is mutual. It is a very respectable dealing. I think, so probably even if you have gone to any kindergarten class, a child needs the teacher to manage, and as a result, this management of human resource is value based process. That means you have to value the people whom you are managing, and therefore it is not, and therefore it has to be, it has a lots of value driver. I will talk to you subsequently. All the human resource systems are developed based on a value that people are good. It is not, earlier values were people are bad, they need to be monitored, they need to be coerced, they need to be punished, they need to be given disincentive if they are not doing their work. Now, it is totally different, it is left to the individual. HRM is a set of doables. No, it is again a very interesting concept. If it is a set of doables, I think it becomes a problem. If you are talking about set of doables, that means it is like going to a temple and do the puja, and after the puja is over, you start thinking something which is absolutely unethical. HRM is not like that. It is treating people as person, giving them freedom, giving them the respect. And if you give the respect, I have yet to believe that other will not give you respect. HRM is not a set of deliverables. It is an implicit thing. How to manage your people, be it sales force, be it your accounts people, be it your production people. I think it's basically it's not a set of deliverables. But earlier they used to believe it is a set of deliverables. That is how HRD has changed and converted into HRM. HRM is a specialization. It is not a staff or line function. I hope that you understand the difference between staff and line function. When you talk about a staff function, it's an advisory function. Just like that, you go to a doctor, he advises you. But today's doctor, they ask you, purchase the medicine and come to me, show me the medicine, and I will tell you again when to take what. Why? Because he is not an advisor, he is also an implementer. And the person whom he is prescribing medicine, he should understand each of the medicine, what for they are giving. And line function is essentially, it's a basically integrated function. Therefore, HRM in today is a job of everybody. It is not a job of a specialized one. There are certain values which we need to understand in terms of managing, and there, you see, let me talk very briefly about the values and the ethos. Values are essentially the priorities. The priorities are, if you look at it, how it conducts yourself in terms of taking a decision about anything. If you value punctuality, you will come to class on time. If you value, if you don't value, then you will not. And values result into a lot of ethos. Ethos means after sometimes it becomes a set thing for you. And these values on which HRM is anchored is openness. How much you are open? Are you capable of taking negative feedback? If you are capable of taking negative feedback, give me some water. If you are capable of taking negative feedback, it's very interesting. This openness creates a lot of transparency. If somebody comes and tells me that I can't teach properly, I should be open enough to take his feedback and modify it accordingly so that I can teach them properly. If you think about another value, is a confrontation. That means I like to see people differ. HRM is, you cannot conduct a human being if you don't like that he is not differing in any way. He has to differ. And he will tell you, and you have to have the skill in terms of managing this confrontation. Don't subdue him. If you don't do that, what happens? It remains implicit, and that creates a problem in the organizational system. HRM is based on trust. What is a trust? That means when you think about human resource management, it is basically building a trust relationship. Trust relationship between you and the other system. And if the other systems, if you are having trust, now it will be creating lots of understanding. And this trust gets the significant amount of trust. It should be authentic. It's not an artificial response. Say, for example, today we always say, as just like a machine, good morning. No, if it does not mean good morning, I think we are not allowed. Now, authenticity is not there. When I talk to people, if I say good morning, and then other people have to respond, because people think it's a responsibility of subordinate to tell good morning, and boss should keep on. But this never happens in any good society, I think. Say, for example, a good society is known by how it can manage human resources better. It's basically a proaction. Before the person tells you that something is not possible, I go on my own and take an action. This is what is proaction. You as a manager have to feel the feeling of the people, those who are on the job. Suppose you have to ensure that they don't become a victim of monotony. Supervision is no more an action, reaction, it's a proaction. Before the thing happens, before I get ill, I should go for a checkup. Say, for example, this is called prevention. This is called another approach in terms of managing people. Because all of us we used to go to doctor only when we are not sick. But today we go to doctor when we are quite healthy, and that's probably is a proaction. Autonomy, it should provide autonomy people. Organizations, HR, strategies, processes, all this anchored on all these values. That means how much autonomous, I should decide my space of work. I should decide when I will be completing. I have my workload that is given to me. But it is immaterial. If I can complete my work, say within 3 hours, then I will be going back home. Or I will do some other work. You see, you can't tell me that I should constantly, if I am capable, then if you give me more work, you give me compensation for that. The autonomy has come through. And then collaboration. Collaboration is essentially when you start making a habit of, because we as a human resource managers are expected to make people collaborate, not compete. Compete within the system is so harmful, Say, for example, today your organization is managing 2 products and you are 2 salespersons. Now, if the 2 products and you are going at the same line of products, now one should not compete with each other. Similarly, in the organization, one person can't be very good worker because somebody is a bad worker. This you will have to see, and therefore more and more processes are developed in a human resource management for making the team process activated. It's again anchored in a value system called experimentation. What is experimentation? When you allow people to experiment, and what is the trouble with experiment? If you make an experiment, chances are there that you will make mistakes, and therefore people are always trying to play safe. So these are all the problems of human resource management. I feel that will give us a basic value. All the systems and the processes which we will be discussing subsequently will be anchored on these basic values. Then scope of human resource management is analysis of job, role, task, competency, which we will be discussing. Each are always subject by itself. Policy formulations of labor market, develop integrated labor strategies. So, for example, today academic institutions ought to have integrated with the HR management system of the country. So they should find out where there is a skill obsolescence as compared to the area where there is a skill redundancy. So, for example, some of the skills which are obsolete need not be taught in the need not be taught in the HR courses. So, for example, today if performance if we have a group performance strategy, I think individual performance measures becomes a problem. Training and retraining. So, for example, we always make people competitive because let us understand what was the basic values on which we were driven earlier. You are effective because somebody is ineffective. That's not a process. You are rich because somebody is poor. Or you are not rich by yourself. You are not poor by yourself. See, this creates a problem, and therefore developing appraisal performance management system, which is the scope of HRM, and we will be taking each part in different sections of our future classes. Now, scope of further scope of the HRM is compensation administration, designing remuneration and incentive for HRM. Now, how to do the design? It's very, very scientific. And I think today's HRM is one specialized area is compensation management. There are many consultancy organizations. They are working on compensation administrations, and there are industry-wise compensation clubs are there. Now, this remuneration and incentive is a big area for organizational management. Develop and designing organizational communication strategies, how you communicate with the organizations. This is a part of HRM processes. Managing coaching, counseling, mentoring, institutionalized centered or people-centered processes. You see, what is the change in terms of human scope of HRM? Earlier it was processes, people centered processes were not there. Now we don't blame people. We help people to develop. There is no point in blaming, because if you start blaming, you cannot make organization effective. So what you have to do? You have to take the onus of responsibility. Terminating a person, punishing a person is not the major objective of human resource management. Managing collaboration and involvement. Say, for example, today a board will be there, and what is happening all over the world, board is becoming more small to smaller, smallest. I can give you a number of organization examples where there is a very minuscule of boards, because all units all over the world is a multinational enterprise where they are given operative freedoms, because board will take only the macro decisions. Micro decisions are to be taken at the farm level. Similarly, in the organization also, different shops, different units will have this one. Managing and that will provide involvement. The moment I plan, I get involved. The moment you plan and hand it over to me, I think achievement is very less. And today, human resource management is also concerned with occupational problems and quality of work life. Occupational issues are very difficult, because when I get compensated, I incur an occupational cost. Now, how to make that occupational health and safety is important. We stop here today, and primarily we have just introduced the concept of human resource management. We will give you an assignment which is already loaded in your academic schedule, and I would like you to respond me, submit this assignment to the academic sections as after this class, and we'll progressively next class we'll start taking the different human resource processes, issues and subsystems. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email to our address. I'll be very happy to take your questions. Thank you.